It's the Brad and John Show.
John, normally I start playing jingles for my top three, but I have a problem. I have an alarm that came up at one of the transmitter sites. Will you talk for a minute while I clear this and see what's going on?
I'd be happy to. You know, there's probably people out there that take a look at the calendar. Brad helpfully begins most segments by giving the day of the week, the date. Today is February 5th, which means that there's only 9 days until Valentine's Day. That causes a lot of anxiety for everyone, but especially for men. What are you going to get her? You know, she told you some ideas a while back, but you don't remember, and you don't want to admit to her that you don't remember what she wants. So why don't you go to johncombest.com today? And the top link is a Valentine's Day link, and you can see gifts for her, gifts for him, broken down by price category. Now, I don't come on our show, the Brad and John Show, out of respect to Brad. I don't come on here shilling my own stuff. If people want to go to johncombest.com and find the day's Missouri political news headlines, knock yourself out. You don't want to go to johncombest.com? No problem. No skin off my apple. But if you're looking for an easy way to get your Valentine's Day shopping done today at your desk, in your car, while you're on the job site pretending to work, go to johncombest.com and you can knock out all of your Valentine's Day shopping right now.
Thank you, John. Now we'll go into Brad's top three. Okay, ready?
It's time for Brad's top three.
And by the way, it was no big deal. It was just the power flashed at one of the transmitter sites, so it's back on again. So we're in good shape. Matter of fact, on this very station, it went off for a small period of time, but it's back on. Okay, number three. Ready, John?
Yes, give it to us.
It's number three.
It is number three. Here we go with the mayor of New York. This is somewhat of a controversy. He's only been mayor for what, a month now?
Something very short.
Didn't they get inaugurated on January 1st? Wasn't that the way it works in New York? And they inaugurated him right after midnight or something like that.
I don't know. That's a good piece of information. I don't know, but carry on, Brad.
Okay. There was a case where a family was having problems with one of their sons, an adult son, 22-year-old son. They called 911, and they say he's having a mental breakdown. And they said, don't send the police, send an ambulance. Okay? I don't know how current police procedures are. Maybe we should call Jason Law sometime and ask him this. But most of the time, when you get a 911 call for matter of fact, in the old days, when I was dispatching, they were called an OBS. And the interesting thing was nobody knew what OBS stood for. But if there was dispatch for an OBS, that meant you had someone who was a little bit not totally upstairs, if you know what I'm saying. So there's a call for this house, an apartment in New York City, for a police officer or for an ambulance to respond. So instead, the procedure, I assume it's the same in New York, they always dispatch a police officer. Police get there first. And not only that, a lot of times when you have someone who is supposedly violent, and that was the original dispatches as well too, that they always let the police go in and then they essentially make the scene clear for the paramedics and the fire people. Got it, John?
Yeah, I got it. You want to make sure that your first responder group, like your paramedics, aren't going to get whacked in the head by a crazy man.
Or shot or something like that. Okay.
Sure. So
they go into this apartment, and immediately an adult male, 22 years old, grabs a big, long kitchen knife. In fact, in evidence photo, they have the ruler laying next to it, and the blade is 6 inches long. And he comes after the cops. And the cops pull their gun, tell the guy, they try, put the knife down, even to the point where the cops go outside the apartment door and they close the door and he forces the door open. So then, guess what? He gets shot 4 times. So now the families are saying, this is terrible. We didn't want the police to come. We wanted a social worker. We wanted the paramedics to come. And Madami essentially at one point in time sort of praised the police, but then now he sort of backslid on that. Sort of like Jabuzi. What's his guy's name? Kabuzi? You know what I'm talking about with that one?
Kabuki?
No.
Is it Kabuki?
No, it's not that one.
It's Shabuzi, who sang the bar song.
Shabuzi. Okay. So here we go once again. I know 3 people, friends of mine, that used to be, one of them still is, a social worker. And This person told me that whenever they had a situation where they felt that there might be some physical harm that could befall them if they went into a house, they called police. And the police would show up and essentially knock on the door and say, hey, Miss Social Worker's here to see Mr. Blah, blah, blah. Can I come in and talk to Mr. Blah, blah, blah real quick? And the police would ascertain whether it was clear for the social worker to come in or not. Where are people going to learn their lesson that when you got crazy nuts who grab a knife and go after cops, it's just like, it's sort of like you sort of get what you deserve, maybe, so to speak? I mean, John.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And would there have been, it's easy for all of us to Monday morning quarterback, which is what law enforcement deals with all the time. How could they have possibly handled this any better?
I don't know. I mean, that's the whole point. The point is that if this guy's a nutbag and he's freaking out, if the paramedics would have walked into the room, the same thing might have happened. He might have grabbed that knife and go out at the paramedics. The only difference is the paramedics probably would have ended up being stabbed because they don't have guns. At least in New York, they do.
And isn't the point of a lot of these activists, whether it's anti-ICE activists or just anti-police activists, don't they say that police should use a beanbag or police should use a handkerchief or police should throw a Kleenex at people? Like, isn't that their mentality?
Or they should shoot out the tires of someone who's fleeing. And there's an interesting video. There's a couple of them I've seen, which are sort of funny on YouTube, where these guys who are really good with a handgun, these guys are like, advanced trainer level. They're like, they train FBI agents, stuff like that. There's one where they have it out in the desert somewhere, and the guy says, okay, I'm going to show you how tough it is to shoot out tires. So they have a car, it's an old junk car, and they tow it with a truck, and they have like a long tow rope on it. And the guy is standing next to where the car is going by, and he fires 10 rounds at the car as it goes by, and only one of them hits the tire. And the crazy part of it was, as they showed it, it hit the tire, but it didn't really totally deflate the tire because the tire still had air in it as the car went by him and stuff like that. It's not what you think. It's not like the old days of the Westerns where you saw a guy pull a gun and, Joe Stud Cowboy shot the gun out of his hand. You know what I mean? It doesn't work like that, because of the fact.
But I'm sorry to interrupt, Brad, but haven't we learned from Scooby-Doo that a net can be really effective?
Yes. A net. Right. A net. Yeah. Okay. Ready for number 2?
Give it to us, Brad.
It's time for Brad's number 2.
This is the controversy. I look at my number 2 sheet and it says Amarin Trips. So I did not have the same thing, but your number 2 was Amarin Trips. I will briefly say, here we go once again. John.
Here we go once again.
I give the example of years ago when, what is it, the Kansas City, what was the place? Kansas City Barbecue, what was the name of that place?
Arthur Bryant's.
No. This was the
Gates Barbecue and the smoke, and what happened?
No, this wasn't Gates. This was the other guy. This guy was a friend of Bush.
KC Masterpiece.
KC Masterpiece.
KC Masterpiece.
KC Masterpiece wanted to put in that barbecue place. I think. Did you work at Monsanto when that was still there? I mean, was that? It was right.
Yeah, we discussed this less than a month ago.
Right.
It was right at the corner of Olive Boulevard and Lindbergh.
Yeah, it was just south of Lindbergh on Olive. Okay. No, just south of Olive on Lindbergh, and was on the west side of Lindbergh, as if I remember. Okay. The Creve Coeur City Council was upset about the fact that KC Masterpiece wanted to put in a barbecue place, and they decided that people might be upset about the smell of barbecue, and that they had to have a trip. They sponsored a trip to Kansas City to drive around the neighborhood where the existing KC Masterpiece barbecue place was in Kansas City, and put their noses out the window and stand on the sidewalks and determine if there was enough smell that would negate their approval of the KC Masterpiece in Creve Coeur. It's the same thing with this thing, but I think the interesting part of this is that you said the story that you thought there was going to be like some meat in the story, that they went to a strip club afterwards and they drove around in limousines and stuff like that.
Yeah, or they were they went out to San Francisco when they were out in Napa sampling some wines.
Right. They were at what's his face's winery. Yeah, that kind of thing. See, I don't have a problem with this. This may shock you. I'm thinking to myself, because they went to some place, they went to a in the middle of Nebraska. And once again, if you're in Omaha or if you're in Lincoln, it's sort of big timey. Matter of fact, I've been in Omaha a bunch of times. Used to do business in Omaha. And Omaha is a very interesting city. I think it's very much of a parallel city to St. Louis for a lot of reasons, but that's a whole other story. But if you go to places like that, that's out in the middle of nowhere, and you talk to the neighbors and you say, okay, I'm from Missouri and there's all this controversy about these data centers. Do you have water? Oh, yeah, we have water. Has your electricity rates gone up? No. Does the noise bother you? I don't really hear anything. I mean, doesn't that speak volumes about the fact that people go like, everything's good? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I just wake up in the middle of the night terrified that Bandana's barbecue would open up down the street. I would hate to smell that smoke from Bandana's.
And I will say, once again, for those of you who live near a toxic waste dump, I'm an old guy. I mean, I maybe had, I don't even count the years anymore. I count the days, how many more days I have left in my life.
Yeah, what kind of offer you got for him, Brad?
I say if you live out in Bridgeton near the landfill out there, you live out in Franklin County, what's that guy's name that lives next to the landfill out there?
Jim Roberts,
you want to sell me your property? I'll give you a penny on the dollar for your property. That way you can move out and you won't have to worry about it anymore. And I won't give a poop, to be honest with you. I'll just, hey, it's my place. I don't care. Once again, my idea, I got made fun of when the Bridgeton Air Defense, I said, don't tear down the houses in Carrollton. Give them to the deaf people because they don't care if there's jets flying over their house. They can't hear anyway, right? Give them to the deaf people.
Hey, deaf people love living near airports and they love the Brad and John show.
Number one, you ready?
Yeah.
And now, big finish, Brad's number.
John, we have lost an advertising legend. And
we have. Who's that?
This is an interesting story because I have a personal, although be it very brief, association with this guy. His real name is John Smith, but everybody knew him as Jack Smith. Now, you probably will say, I've never heard of this guy before. Who is Jack Smith? And the interesting part of it is,
Smith? I've never heard of him before. Who is Jack Smith?
You have heard his work. You have heard his work because of the fact that he was. Now, first off, let me give the background of Jack Smith. Jack Smith was a Mizzou student, okay? And Jack Smith was a musician. I believe he played the drums. He played drums, and I think he played guitar as well, too, but I think his main deal was as a drummer. And Jack Smith went on to be a very famous composer of jingles in the advertising business. He had tremendous jingles. Matter of fact, let me find the story in here. Okay, here we go. His talent and hard work earned Jack many awards and accolades, including more than 20 Clio Awards, 3 Cannes Lions Award, and in 2011 he was inducted into the AAF, that's the American Advertising Federation Hall of Fame. After retirement, Jack went on to share his knowledge as a professor at the beloved University of Missouri and continued to work on campaigns for local businesses, the MU football and basketball teams, as well as multiple fundraising campaigns for the university, including For All We Call Mizzou. He was especially proud to receive University of Missouri's highest alumni honor, the Distinguished Service Award. Now, if you go into the situation where the jingles he did, get this one, okay? His showmanship prepared him for professional life, where he was the king of the jingle, a creative's creative who rose to become group president, deputy chief creative officer for Leo Burnett Company and Leo Burnett Worldwide. His storied client presentations were said to be accompanied by jangling of change in his pocket or the tapping of pencils on the conference table to sell many of the tunes that became cultural icons. He once sold a new song for McDonald's by rolling a piano into the presentation room and performing the song live, complete with a brandy snifter for tips. Some of his greatest hits include Mother Country for United Airlines, Good Time for the Great Taste of McDonald's, Slow Dance for Heinz Ketchup, and Fly the Friendly Skies for United. John, you've heard that one. Fly the Friendly Skies for United.
Yeah,
right?
And A Good Time for McDonald's. I remember that one.
He changed the game by crafting an emotional connection between brands and people through music. Dedicated to family, Jack even created storytelling in his ads inspired by families such as McDonald's Little Man for his son Chris. Now, here's where Brad comes into the picture. And this is not about Brad, but this is how I knew more about Jack Smith than I should. This has probably been 2011. Now, he was inducted into the National Hall of Fame for the AAF. Now, they have a very active chapter of AAF in Columbia, Jefferson City, but none here in St. Louis, which I thought was sort of weird. It's the American Federation, or what is it? American Advertising Federation, okay? And I was hired by a lady I knew who I did some voiceover work at KOMU in Columbia. I was hired by her to be the master of ceremonies for his induction into the local AAF Hall of Fame in Columbia, Jefferson City. So I went to Jefferson City, and or Columbia actually. It was in one of the university buildings and stuff like that, and it was a really nice event. And they showed his sizzle reel. They showed, if you know what sizzle reel is, it's like all the things he's done, and it was like incredible, especially in my age group. All these jingles he's done. I remember that one. I remember that one. I remember that one. And he was so good at this. But he told a fascinating story. And if I could, will you indulge me another minute for the fascinating story?
Yeah, of course, Brad. Go ahead. Yeah,
when he was a young guy going to Mizzou, they had the hottest band in Columbia. And their band was hot to the point where, and he told the story, it was so funny. I introduced him, and he thanks everybody, and he tells this story about how they did all the high-profile events. If there was a big sorority or fraternity party, they were the band. Even the university hired them for several events. They were doing all the high-profile stuff. They were doing this fraternity. They were doing this fundraiser. They were busy all the time. And all of a sudden, their business started to tail off. And pretty soon, they weren't hardly working at all anymore. So Jack, and he tells the story when it was him, he went to one of the sororities and said, hey, I'm not trying to say that we're upset with you, but, you used to hire us all the time, and you're not hiring us anymore. What's going on? And the woman says, well, there's this new band out of St. Louis that we've been using, and they are really good. And he says, really? And she says, yes, matter of fact, they're playing up in Moberly tonight, and me and a bunch of the sorority sisters are going up to see them up at a bar in Moberly. So Jack says, well, I'm going too. So they all drive up to Moberly, and they go to this bar, and who do they see?
Is it the Walter Scott Band?
Ike and Tina Turner.
No way.
Yes.
Nice.
Ike and Tina Turner had started invading Columbia and was doing all the sorority and the fraternity parties and all stuff like that. And they were the hot band in Como, and they put Jack Smith out of business with his band. And when he told that story, the whole audience just erupts in laughter because of the fact that it's like, okay, it would be different if it was, Dirty Billy and the Dirt Clouds or something like that. But
yeah, which is a great band.
But when you get upstaged by Ike and Tina Turner in their formative years before they became a national hit, and this was probably, I don't know, mid-'60s, something like that, probably early to mid-'60s, because I believe he was 88 when he passed away. He passed away just the other day, passed away the 27th of December, or of January, rather. So if he's 88, let me think, that would have meant he was born in what? Let me see if it's date here. Someone he's
Use
born.
your kayfabe birthday, Brad.
He would have been born in 37, right? Yeah, no, hold. He was born, he passed away on January 27th, 2026. I don't see his, oh yeah, here he is. March 25th, 1938 in Davenport, Iowa. Okay, so if he would have been 20, and let's say he was 20, he would have been 20 in 58, so 21 in 59, 22 in 60. So it would probably be in the early 60s when Ike and Tina Turner were first starting to break out. And thanks to George Edick, and you have no idea who George Edick is, but I know the whole story behind Ike and Tina Turner and Club Imperial. Do you know about Club Imperial, John?
Yeah, you've discussed it on the show before, Brad.
So that's the story. Jack Smith, he will be missed. And I think for a while he actually taught in the journalism school as well, too, at Mizzou. Beloved by the Como family, beloved by the Mizzou family, and it's sad that he's gone. He was in pretty decent shape up to the end, and he got some rare brain cancer, and that was it. So Jack Smith.
Well, hey, he won a Clio Award, and you've been known to win a Miss Clio Award.
Right.
On late night television.
Right.
I love the story that he would do jingles in a room by jingling change or tapping his pencil.
Yeah, well, but see, interesting thing about it was his pitch was very low profile. See, that was the interesting thing. And and he was a showman as well, because they talked about the fact that he rolls a piano in. Yeah, can you imagine this? Think about this. You've been in corporate boardrooms before, okay? It's a little bit stuffy, and everybody's sort of, got their ties buttoned up really good. They're checking their tie. And
yeah, you don't just roll the piano in.
Right, and he puts a brandy snifter on the piano for tips, right? Okay, he actually had a sense of humor, and which is lacking in a lot of people nowadays. Right, John?
And what would he say about the Pro Body Works jingle? I think he would love the fact that from a door ding to a wreck, they'll see it through.
Hold on a minute. The ceiling tiles in the office, in the studio here, are parting again. Jack, you haven't been up in heaven that long. Yes, I'll play it for you. I will play it for you. Here you go.
Positivity, productivity, and prosperity, God Squad. Positivity, productivity, and prosperity, God Squad.
Oh, I've got 2 thumbs up, John. 2 thumbs up. Okay.
The only thing that can make that song better is if we had a background of Ike hitting Tina with a shoe.
I'm not going to touch that.